Good morning, everyone. Jacques here from Dapper Shaves. I've had a question around sharpening, and specifically the stones I use, why I use them, and I want to briefly touch on them, and then hopefully you guys have got additional questions or information you're looking after, which I can expand then on the future. We are going to be specifically looking at the Yunmikawa Shiru Naguras. So this is the mine information. This is the Asano stamps, which means that these stones were certified and graded by a skilled person that knows these stones, and then they've got some other information which we'll get to about what type of stone it is, what grade it is, and so forth. So when you look into Japanese stones, so let's first quickly break Japanese stones into two. You get a Jnat, the base Japanese natural stone. These are not, I haven't got, but I want to show you other natural stones. It's the same thing. And then you get the Naguras. So we're not going to talk about the base stones, but fundamentally it's a natural stone coming out somewhere in a hole in the ground, and it's got certain characteristics, and you use this as a base. So a stone would have a specific characteristic, and that's how it is. If you slurry them, you can change that characteristics to some point, but that is the dimension of the stone. So Naguras is also a natural stone. It's also got its own characteristics and braiding ability, and they're all different. So when you use the slurry from a Nagura on another stone, you can change the range and dynamics of the stone you're working on. So, but we'll talk about that. I can't remember if I said, if you look at these stones, you'll see that they are very expensive, and people will tell you that you're gonna spend a lot of time finding the right stuff, getting good results. All true if you try and do it by yourself. Additionally, you will see information, people say buy from reputable sources, knowledgeable people, and that is indeed very, very true. One of the reasons why I was off the bat on the right track and could make the right decisions. And so in that regard, with the value I found out of it, I want to share with you guys out there around Naguras to enable you to have information to make the right decision if you decide to go down this route. Okay, so we've talked about the mine information. So this is Mikawa, Yun Mikawa, Shiro, Naguras. That's the mine. Asano. Asano is the certification stamp to say this is authentic, and then they've got grading information. So before we get into the grading information, the Asano stamp, Nagayuki Asano, the stamp here is the official certification authority, if I can say, for these stones. So there's a long history behind these stones, where they come from, how they came about, and so forth. But fundamentally, Iwasaki-san was having difficulty with finding good quality Naguras. They were inconsistent. There was another gentleman, a lecturer at the Tokyo University, a man that understands stones well. Sakamoto, if I can remember correctly. I'll go and update the comments if I've got information wrong. But fundamentally, he had a beauty business selling scissors and stuff for hairdressers and so forth. And so he wanted to also have the best polishing and sharpening capability. So where he stayed, this is where this mine was, but it wasn't mined. So he knew there were good stones there. Him and Iwasaki-san started looking and taking out stones and testing them and looking underneath scopes and doing all kinds of tests. And then Asano-san realized that this is what he wanted, and he subsequently purchased the mine in, I think, 1955. And then they started excavating the mine, and they pulled out everything. So there's nothing left. That mine's gutted. So the stones came out, they got graded, big chunks, and they got stored. So they will take a chunk, process it, grade it into smaller stones, stamp them, and then it goes to the marketplace. So this Asano stamp is therefore very, very important. Now the stone layer in Mikawa is made up of, I think, 10 or 11 layers. I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've only got 4 types of layers here, but fundamentally don't need more for razors. A lot of the other stones are used for sword polishing and so forth. Now, how these stones were formed millions of years ago is, I don't know, sediment and particle layers in rivers and the ocean bottom, and then at some point in time through geothermal processes like volcanic eruptions, heat and pressure, that is pushed up and it comes up and it goes through this metamorphosis process, and the structure changes, and it gets obviously pushed into a mountain or somewhere, and that's where these stones were found and mined. So there's 10 layers. The very first layer is obviously sand, potentially, and that's actually not counted. So the first layer is this layer here, and that's the Kanji for it, and that is the Mohiro layer. Then you've got the Tenju layer. Then there's another layer in between. I can't remember the name, Serifuna or something like that. I think it's used for swords. That's not in here. That's the next layer. So these things are, if you find them in the ground, they, you know, if you get an idea of that setup, then those how they find. Then you get bushi, which is also, I think, for swords, and then you get koma. Here's a koma. This is the finest of them. We'll talk about that. And then you get botan right underneath that, which is this one, which is one of the coarsest. So you've got some of the finest and some of the coarsest layers right next to each other. And that's quite interesting. And then you've got a bunch of other layers all the way down to 10 or 11. And so I'm not going to cover them. So this is Mohiro. This is Tenju. This is botan, and this is koma. All right. And now you would see there is other stamp information on here, and this is typically information very few people talk about, and I don't think very few people understand actually. So you, in Mikawa, you get fundamentally 2 types of Nagura. You get a pure white Nagura, Here's an example of pure white Nagura. These are all pure white Naguras, these. And then you get striped. And if I wet this, you will get a better understanding of the striping versus if we just talk about white here, it's white. Okay. They wet. This is a leather box, so I'm just going to put them here to dry while we talk. Other information you'll find on these stones is a number, and this is typically, or not typically, is the weight of the stone. So when you buy them, you buy based on the weight. And there is obviously also the grade. But when I started looking, I knew you were buying based on weight, and it got confusing because some stones, same type of stone, is priced differently, and I never understood that, and that's part of the complexity about these stones. But then I did some research on my own stuff, and it's about the grading. So let me quickly talk about some of the grading symbols they have gone on these stones. So these symbols on these stones, these four, is all white Naguras, but they are also superior class. Okay, so you get a couple of grades, or you actually get 2 grades, I think. You get superior grade and you get high grade. So this is superior grade, white. So this is the symbol for superior white. This is a Tenju, this is a Botan, this is a Koma, that is a Mohiro. Okay, so here's another a white stone, but it has got a different grading on it. And I need to remember, yes, so if these are superior, this is high grade. And what makes these stones different is you'll see this one has got some inclusions and stuff in here, which is not a problem. They don't affect the edge from what I've seen. Otherwise, you just worked around them. Whereas a stone like this has got none of them. Okay. You'll see this stone has got totally different markings. So this is, these markings say high grade striped. Okay, so we know it's striped. It's high grade. You also get a superior grade striped. Some observations which I've picked up between striped versus the white stones is the following. The white stones are all finer. They're very fine, and therefore they're cutting slower. And when I say a lot finer, it's not a lot, but it's finer. Then these striped stones are obviously less finer than the white ones, but they cut quickly. And they generally have puts on incredible edges. Now, we've spoken about the type of stone, Mohiro, Tenju, Botan, and so forth, but I don't think I've really covered where they fit in a abrasive structure. So, the very top layer was Mohiro, but that is obviously not the top of the abrasive structure. So Mohiro is actually in the middle. So this is a medium fine type stone. This is a Tenju. A Tenju is very close to a Mohiro. So it's also a medium fine stone, if I can put it that way. In my world, this is for me, it's a pre-finisher. I know people are going to jump up and down and say, no, not true, but I'm trying to put some words around it. This is Bouton's coarse. So I've got coarse, medium, and then you get Koma. Koma is the finest, or so a lot of people say. For me, there's very little difference in what you get between a Koma and a striped Mohiro of high grade or superior grade. Very close. One's just slightly quicker than the other one, for me. We've covered the certification, which is very important. We talked about the mine information, the grade of the stone itself, and then the type of stone. So I have seen what you see here. These 4 stamps is what you will always see on a true Asano stone. You will also see that the way they put the stamps is fundamentally very uniform. I've seen on eBay stones where there's only 3 stamps on. It hasn't got this information on. And the stamps are done funny. And I don't know how to explain it. If you've looked at these stones long enough, you'll see that they take care when they place and do the stamps. And I've seen ones where you can see that's not the case. And all of those stones, there's always something that isn't right. It's missing a stamp. It's done badly. Or you can see in the stone it's not a good quality. So if you buy from a reputable seller that's got a good track record, that sells these things, and these stones are marked properly, I would really consider buying from them and going on. Other things I've observed is Koma stones is when you find them a lot more expensive than the other stones. And these are really not bad priced. So that's a brief on the Asano Naguras. I've got another Nagura here. You will see it's got 2 stamps on. So this here says Hon Nagura. I believe this is Hon Kutso. I must first try and remember the mine. And I've got some notes here on the side which I want to get to. Sorry. Hatahoshi. I believe this came with some other Hatahoshi stones. You will see it's got some kind of, let me wet this one. Also got some kind of striping in, but the rest of it is slightly yellowish, but more white. I want to quickly talk about the grading again. So as an example, this stone has got some different material in here. I don't know what it is. But it's not part of the other stone. So from a grading perspective, my view of this had to go through this process. This would not be superior. This would be the other one because it's got some impure inclusions in here, like we've got with this other stone. You will see here, it obviously says it's an Nagura, and there you can see the coma information. I hope you can. This is a stamp that's fading. Coma, and then Nagura, and then on Nagura. Beautiful little stone. I use this one in the kitchen with actually this base stone. This is not a Jnat. This is a jasper. You will see the one side, or I hope you can see the one side's smoothish. Okay, and the other side is very abrasive. You'll see lots of roughness on this. It's a very dense stone, very hard, silica based. So this side would have a bit more cutting power because of the way how it's dressed. And this side is finer. So I would use as an example, a boton on here. Do a lot of the heavy lifting or refinement, and then use, as an example, a coma on the other side to finish off and polish my edge. I'm not gonna, I think, talk a lot more. I've said a lot. There's a lot of information to take on. If you buy from reputable people, and if you don't know reputable people, ask me, I can point you to them. JNS, Japanese Natural Stones, in Denmark is one of them. So Asano certified stamps, Mikawa, the grading information, and then obviously the type of stone. This is my finishing, the Mohiro. Incredible edges. Some of you guys that have your razors maintained with me, this is what I'm finishing on, boys. Very good edge. And then also the coma. I don't use this one a lot because it's a small one and I get incredible edges with that. So that's me. Thank you for your time. I hope you found it useful. Speak soon.